So to recap what I've been working on and where we were heading and what we just covered was we started with a basic player controller where we can move the player around. We started with a little capsule and and since then I've added a model. I wanted to try out something new for this, which was to move to a state machine based movement for the players. So I've been working towards that, and I started it in the last, not the last stream, but the stream before. We started it out, and I you know dove into that and did my best to get it off the ground. And I think it went pretty well. And then in the last stream yesterday, there was a couple issues with the movement, and I believe we've resolved them. One thing was, let me find it. I needed to wrap the player inputs with a is multiplayer authority, which means that if the whichever client has authority over the inputs, those are the only ones that will be updating this, because we were having a little bit of false readings without that there. The other thing we did was in the state, I added another process physics or another process physics function. And this time it's for the client side. So I added a little client side print statement here. And what this is, the purpose of this was, if we look down in the state machine script, under the player script, I added a condition, an else condition after we check for multiplayer authority. We run this process physics client on all the non-authority clients. So not the server, right? Not that host server. This will run on any other client that joins, including themselves. So that way we can move the player locally in the way that this is set up, meaning that when we rotate the player, we will call that physics client script. So let's just check one of the states. So under move, we'll just add this physics client here. And then this is how I'm moving the players, which is based off this orientation. Parent is the actual player that we've set up for this. So here's the player model. We move the military male, but the player has a parameter called orientation. A field called orientation, which is right here. And we synchronize that field, and that's what we use on the client side to actually rotate the model. We're not rotating the top layer player, the top level player. I may change this up or refactor that at a later point so that it does work that way. But for now, we're just going to rotate the model itself and leave the player as is. And again, this is kind of I'm struggling through this. I haven't done this yet with Godot using the multiplayer state machine setup. So we're going to just struggle through it and see what happens. And if let me see where I'm at. And another change we made was under the state machine, I'm passing in the move component, which is, if we go to that state machine right there. So our move component should be set up under the player under init. So I'm passing in the player input instead of composition here, because I'm not exactly sure that if we pass it in here to this player script and I also pass it in here, I'm not sure if it creates a separate instance of it or if it's still pointing at the same thing. I'm pretty sure it's pointing at the same instance here. So I don't think it's a problem. So I could undo what I did here and just not pass this in and try that out. But for now, I don't want to backtrack on anything. So what this just means is I'm passing the player input so that in our state machine, each child, or each state in this case, I should name these child states. Yeah, I should probably rename that for loop variable. We just pass in that move component so that the individual individual states have access to that component. So let me see. Yeah, it's in the super class. So it's under state. Yeah, right here. And what we're doing with that is we're just accessing the input direction from calling this get movement input. So that's probably a lot to take in really quick, but that's just a full circle. And here it is actually getting processed and on the server side and setting the player's velocity and that sort of thing. I want to also point out that this is strictly a server side or server authority. So the client has authority over their inputs, but the server ultimately determines the movement, which will be reflected and synchronized back to the client, and then you'll see the movement. So there's going to be a delay. I do plan on bringing in a lag compensation tool. I'll probably go with NetFox, but that's going to be in a later video. Today, I just want to try to see how far I can get with the other states that I want to add, and possibly try to tie the animation in with the motions. So I think that's where we're at now. I probably should commit this code so that I can see exactly what I'm doing. Let me just do that really quick off camera. So the reason why I like to do that is so that I can track where I made certain changes, so I can refer back to them. And what's also nice about this is, so the changes that I had from the last stream, I can easily refer back to it by indexing it or putting it in the stage section. Now you can use whatever editor, whatever Git editor you'd like, or you can just use the command line. So any other changes that I make from this point on will actually show up down here, so that I can, kind of have that reference that'll indicate any, tell me anything, or I can quickly identify any bugs or anything that I made with the code changes that it'll show me below. The other thing I should mention is I added the way that I'm setting up the state machine to inform the client to actually call to actually have the successful state, which I'm not too happy with right now, is when we have a change state, we also, let me just back up really quick. So at the end of the stream yesterday, or towards the middle of the stream, I ran into an issue where we were getting an error. So let me just comment it out. So what's happening is when our change state is called, so anytime we go from one state to another, the client side doesn't know about that right now. We don't have a way to synchronize that, because I'm basing this off of a state machine implementation that is for single player. So we need to be able to figure out some different ways, or a refactoring to allow this to work for a multiplayer scenario. So what I decided was, when a state changes, I want to make an RPC call, which is just update state on client. And because we can't really synchronize complex objects, I was just going to pass the string through the RPC. I can probably pass this whole object, but I don't really want to do that. It's just, I don't really want to pass that much data right now for this. So I'm just passing the string of the current state right here. So we just take the current state dot name, and because I gave each of the states a field called state name, so idle is idle, move is move, I just match them just to keep it simple. The names will be easy to find and recognize. So we'll just pass in, okay, we changed to the move state, and I'm going to loop through all the states here, and we're just going to grab the child that matches it, so the move state, and then we'll just set the current state. Now this is the client side, right? So this is current state updated on the client, and we don't synchronize this or anything, so the current state can exist on the server, and the server side will manage that, but on the client, we're going to manage that independently. So this is a little confusing. It can be. This is kind of the nature of multiplayer, but for now I'm just going to actually dump this down there. And so when the state actually changes, we make a check to make sure that it's only authority. I don't want this to be called accidentally on the client. So I wrap that RPC call, and we also set the annotation to authority on this RPC so that only the authority server can call to it. And we make a call to it. Now, this was working yesterday, and what had happened was we were getting an error. So I can move around, and you can see I can turn him. And if we pull open the other client, you can see he's can actually synchronize and turn on both clients. So that's working as expected. However, if you look down in our debugger, we have this error, and I couldn't figure this out during the stream. And I mean, I found a couple resources on the web that kind of indicated that it means that when you have this node not found during this process simplify path, it kind of alluded that means this node or whatever it's trying to access isn't there. So there was a lot of people that were using queue free or deleting some node and it wasn't able to find it once, once they removed it, whatever RPC or whatever actions they were trying to do weren't working and they were getting this error. So that led me to believe that whatever I was doing, the object wasn't completely established. So what I've been doing when that kind of thing happens is there's a couple ways to approach it. But one way I've noticed that will work is to use this process frame, and you just await a frame. So process frame emitted immediately. So it's not a very good explanation, but I think if you look up the docs, it will actually indicate that it's like you're waiting for a single frame to physics frame to bypass itself or a process frame to finish, and then you execute this, and it's like just enough time to establish whatever node this is, this movement state machine, because that's what's saying it can't find. That's what this error is saying. So because I do that, I think this gives us enough time to run this. Now, I don't like this because this is going to run every state change. I think the issue is only caused by this init function. So what I think a better change would be to do, so you see the error down there. Let's just comment that out for now. I think a better change would be to try to run this in the init. I'm not sure if this is going to work. I haven't tested this. But yeah, see, it's not going to work when we run that up in the where did it go? Yeah, that's what it was complaining about, right? The process frame. Oh, it's complaining about process input is not available. Oh, okay. So I think what's happening is because yeah, see, this is like this is like a perfect example of a race condition where I'm not letting certain things happen and that's causing something else to not be initialized. So I think what's happening is this current state isn't getting initialized, which is fine. But really what this means is I need to handle, like, on initialization of this, I need to set the current state to the new state manually. And then I think it'll be okay. Yeah, so I think we'll just manually set it here and then it gets reset here and it's only on the init. So that's okay. I'm not really worried about setting that twice on just the initialization. And let me see if this gets rid of the error. Yeah, I don't see the error now. You can see down there it just says debugger 24. That's 81624. That's just the typical warnings that we see for not using certain variables or whatever. And you can see here that I've got the third client in and he's rotating and he's synchronizing fine. So I think that is a better fix rather than putting it on this change state so that this would wait every single time. So let's not do that. And let's move our note up here that says required to handle the init case where the node hasn't been completely established yet. That's just my, that's my 2 cents on it. And we have to manually set, and of course here, have to manually set current state so that we can use it. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, that's also causing a problem because it's going to come in here and it's going to be like, oh, exit the current state. And we really don't want it to do that because what's going to happen is this init is going to run. And then immediately after that, these process inputs and this physics process are going to be executed over and over. They're going to start being called by the player script, like right here. So if that, what is it? If the current state isn't ready, it'll just start throwing exceptions. So maybe we don't just, we might have to do like a whole initialization separate. That's just like repeating this change state initialization, basically copy all of this and just stick it in here. But, or maybe I can just wrap it. Like, has it been initted yet? I think, yeah, this race conditions really with this kind of stuff and using RPCs. Maybe So change state is called off. Yeah, when we have process changes in there. That was bothering me. I wanted to change that. So we're not doing that. Can get rid of that. Do a little bit of cleanup on brainstorming. So I guess I don't think we need to run this part on the initial state, because the initial state will be correct on both the server and client, because we've hard coded it to be idle. So we know the starting state of this movement state machine will exist correctly. So we don't need to call this at all on init. So in theory, yeah, I think we can just call these two lines of code and just skip this call, because we're not going to have a current state. We're setting it and then we just want to enter it. So I think that's a good workaround. And that should also alleviate, that might alleviate this needing this wait await at all. So we just run those two lines of code. We don't care about that. So we just care about setting the current state, and then we care about entering that current state. And because we know this is from our init, it's going to be idle, and that should be okay. So I think this is a better approach, and it's simple, and we don't have to have an await process on there. Okay, nice. Yeah, good. All right. So that works there. And let's just make sure it works by running it a third client. Yep. And you can see that his rotation is being synchronized as expected. All right. So I think we wrapped up that problem from the end of the last stream. So I'm going to set a note here that says we manually set the current state and enter it to avoid issues. Okay, so we have to manually set the current state and enter it here to avoid race condition that occurs from calling the RPC and change state. All right, it's not really race condition. It's more like node not found issue to avoid node. Oh, that was cool. Node not found. All right, so that's cool. And if I look over at what we did, so we cleaned up, I just cleaned up some names. We don't need that. We don't need, this was just stuff I added yesterday. I just moved the RPC call down to here. Okay. So I think this is okay. And we might have to refactor all this at a later time, but that's okay. Due to NetFox or maybe just a change in how I want to do this. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. I like kind of trying to implement things. I mean, obviously I have like a loose plan, a loose idea of where I'm heading. And I like to just kind of dive in a little bit, and I'll make a push forward. I'll make a bunch of progress. And then I kind of take a step back and say, does this make sense? Rather than just sitting here and idle and not making progress. I like to actually try to make some progress, and then I can say, yeah, this is bad, or yeah, or hey, this is great. Well, let me rename this to child state. Child state. Cool. All right, so this is like client side changing state. Okay, I don't know. It seems pretty good to me. So we're running our server authority stuff on the server. The server is saying like, what's your input? And wonder if that's synchronized to the other player. It probably is. I'm just gonna have to leave that for now, because I'm gonna use NetFox later. And on the client side, we're doing this, we're calling our physics stuff. So authority stuff and then client side stuff. And client side stuff should handle both your local client and any other client that joins. All right, like, what do I do now? Like I got move and idle working. Maybe I should try to get animation working. How did he? So I don't know. So I'm using the Shaggy Dev. He's a Godot YouTuber that I streamed about. I took his basic state machine, a single player state machine implementation, and I kind of just shimmed it into this, and I'm trying to get it to work for the multiplayer setup, and he has this animations property in the state, in the parent state. So each state, move, idle, whatever, is inheriting from the state, and it behind the scenes it has animations. So I was trying to use that in a similar manner because you can set an animation name to play when you enter. So I think I think I can do the same thing. Uh so if we look at move, animation name, okay, so we have an animation somewhere. Let me pull up the, yep. Okay, so if we look at our model, we have idle and walk. So I want to use that. I don't know if I need the full path name. I think I can just say walk. What is it up here? I think I'm going to have to say male animation lib walk. That's a mouthful. Can I copy that somehow? All right, whatever. So let's try that. Let's go to our player and we'll say male animation lib walk. Okay. Male animation lib walk. So I haven't done this yet. So this isn't wired up. So I'm going to have to think on my feet here and do some stuff. So the move state, no, is under state, right? Yeah. So on enter, technically, it's not an animated sprite. So do I have the ability? Yeah. How did I do that before? I have a backup script of what I did before, right? Maybe, maybe did I not do animations earlier? Oh, I didn't. Okay. This script has to be removed anyways. So um maybe what I can do is instead of doing animations, I'll have a reference to the animation player. And I was doing that. I'm going to open up another project. I think this is what I'm using, player controller. Oh, animation handler. So what was that? Animation handler. Oh, I created a separate script that wraps the animations, which isn't a terrible idea, but this is a different way to handle. So this is like the other way to do this. So I'm using a state machine way. If I wasn't using a state machine, I think I would be doing it this way. And all I have to do is call to animation player dot play. Yeah, so this is pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna cheat and copy paste some code. So let me try to do this. Let's try to get rid of that, and let's have an animation player, and we'll say if animation name is not equal to empty string, then let's do animation player dot play. Then we'll say animation name. We don't need the pass. Don't need that anymore. So I'm wondering if I need a, okay, this could be a problem because I need to get this. So this is, how would I get it? Because this doesn't have a reference to it. This is the state. So the state has no reference to the player. Yeah, it does. Okay. So maybe what we should do is, let me see, on enter, maybe instead of doing it this way, right. Okay, instead of passing an animated sprite 2D, go back to our player where we have the access to the model. And we're going to assume that our model has a, all right, let's make some assumptions. So we have a model, and we're going to assume that the model has a thing called animation player. And it does. Okay, so we're going to say player animation player. That's a little wordy. Animation player. And instead of passing null, we're going to pass it in the animation player. So then we go back to our state, and I'm just going to steal that because I think I'll need that. Wait, where is it? Yeah. So instead of animations, let's call it animation player. And then animation player, animations is animations player. And then under each, under state, it's called animation player. So it's already taken care of. So in theory, if we have an animation name, animation player should exist because it was established during the initialization period of the states, the machine states, right here, passed in through the player right there. So there's a chance that this is null. I don't know how it would be null. But let's try it. I will be really excited if this works the first time around. So let's host a game. Oh, it worked. Yes. Yes. Awesome. Awesome. If I stop walking though, we don't stop it though. So I have there's another way to do that. So that is cool. So that worked. And is it going to be synchronized? I don't think that enter call is called on the client. I'm going to guess no. So it's working on the server because that's the authority and the server has ability to call that. But let me try one more thing just so I know. All right. So let's go back to our state. And what I want to do is when we exit, let's stop our player. I know this isn't going to work out in the long run because I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to get weird, but it's okay because eventually I'm going to use animation trees and it'll be more of a transition to the next state. And we can even update our state machine that says like when we change our state and we enter, the enter can actually handle that transition. But for now, let's just try that. Let's see if we actually stop this game. Okay, it does stop. And let me also do the idles animation. I think it should be just idle. So on enter, yeah, so he's just idling. I don't know if anybody can see that, but he is moving. We just drop this guy down here. Is he moving? He's moving too because I wonder if, all right, let's do one more test just to, he landed on top of each other. Damn it. Come on, get away. All right. I mean, he just jerks when he stops, but that's okay. Like he's just like boop. But that's because we're not doing transitions. We're just doing animation states. But that's okay for this. For starting out, I think if you had this, you'd be happy. And then they're all idling. So if I move to a client, he's not doing anything, but he's working on the server, which is cool. And then he goes back to idle. Okay. What we need is we need these enter and exit lifecycle functions to be called somehow on client and server simultaneously. So that would mean when we tell the client, hey, we've changed, basically need to do that. We almost need to call this only on the client though. I mean, without, yeah. Okay, so can I just, instead of doing this, can I just call change state? Because this is client side now. Change state will run. Oh. Not paying attention. All right. So change state, we're in the client context now. So I should be able to call change state and it'll hit this. And on the client side, it'll set this, it'll set this, it'll set that, which is what we expect. And then this won't be called, which is perfect because we're on the client. I think it's just going to work because we call our exit state right here. And then we call our enter here. So exit will stop the previous animation and kick off the new one. I don't see why that wouldn't work. So let's try. So right now he's idle. And now he's walking. I don't see any errors or anything. Okay, let me see if he stops. He stopped. I think it's working. I think it's gonna work. There's like an extra delay from when he actually stops to when the animation stops, but that could be just like network delay or something. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe like the position is being synchronized through a multiplayer synchronizer. And by the time I stop pushing W on the keyboard, it has to, the position will be immediately stopped, but that RPC call to change the state still needs to happen. And maybe there's like a delay in the round trip that he has to like stop running first, that it takes him a second to stop. I mean, is there momentum? No, there's no momentum. Like I was just saying, like if I run forward and then release, does it stop? It would be nice to have that immediately happen. But I mean, this is working. This state machine animation and whatever process, moving the motions and things to animation states or to states using state machine is actually working pretty well. So I'm excited to see that. Let me see if I can try to make an optimization. I don't want to spend too much time on optimizations because I'm going to be using a lag compensation tool eventually. So I don't want to spend too much time spinning my wheels on this one. Let me see, under our player. The only other way I think this gets executed faster is if we don't do it through the state way. I don't really know if it's network issue because they're all running on my local machine. I mean, these delays should be like 2 milliseconds, right? So I don't think that's what's happening here. I think maybe, like, how could it possibly take, like when I release my key, it should happen, it should synchronize a position and it should send that RPC within like sub 5 milliseconds. So I can't imagine, because I'm on my machine, my same computer, I can't imagine there actually being a delay in this. So I'm wondering if it's not that, if it's something else. So let me see if so change state, yes, change state is getting called locally, which is what we want. And I think I need to be calling super. Oh, enter does call super. Okay, so on idle enter, we play idle. Seems straightforward to me. And we're not even, we don't even, oh, I moved this down here yesterday. Because I don't know if we need to do this on it anymore. I need to add a note here. Sorry, I just thought of something else. Yeah, so I just moved that down here. All right, let me check if there's a delay from start to stop. Because that could, so W, I mean, it's pretty quick. Like he immediately starts animating. So I have a feeling that there's a slight delay when we go to movement. So this is when we go from idle to movement. So where do we go from movement to idle? So that is probably not happening immediately. And I bet you, yeah, I bet you this print statement, move state transition to idle, is delayed. So let's look at that. I bet you it takes time to get below that velocity. Yep, that was it. Yeah. So this check here is taking time to get below our idle threshold. And as soon as he stopped animating, this line printed out at the same time. This line right here. So I'm pushing, and then I release, then it goes. Pushing, release, then he stops. Yeah. Yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah. 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 So what we can do is we can make idle happen differently. Which okay, so the way that we're doing it is we're on this side, let me see. On this side, we're checking if get input. So we're using the input. So let's try to use the input on the other side then, instead of using our velocity. It makes sense to use velocity, but in other game setups, but it might not make sense for this demo. So let's just say if the input vector does equal 0, then we just swap to idle state. I don't know. What do you think? I think this is going to work. Yes. Yep. That was it. Look at that. He moves, stop, and it snaps to idle. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. All right. So this guy's walking. Let's see if there's a delay. Nope. No, it's immediate. Now, because there's a round trip, if I deployed this on a server like AWS or somewhere on the cloud, you would probably see him walk maybe like an extra step before he actually stopped. But again, that's a little bit out of scope for this because I'm gonna bring in some lag compensation. Okay. So I think that's progress. I think I'm happy with that. Let me double check what we just did. Holy cow, I changed a lot of files. Okay, why? That's a lot. Okay, so that's fine. That's just a note to myself. Great. Okay, so we got our animation player. Let's look at that really quick and clean up anything if I need to. Where did I do that? Right here. Yeah, and I guess if it's null for some reason, then it'll just maybe I should add a null check in our state. Yeah, so if animation is not equal to that and is not equal to null. So if our animation name is not empty and our animation player is not equal to null, then we'll play that. That's just probably a nice check to have. I don't even need to keep this open right now. This is pretty good right now. I don't think I need to have that open. I don't like to have things open that I'm not working on. I like to have the narrow scope as much as possible. You ever get to like a point in your project and you have just like 15 files or 30 files open and somehow they're all relevant, and eventually like you pull the thread and it all snaps into place, and maybe that'll take a week, maybe that takes a day, it just depends. Like I don't know, it's development is definitely not for everybody. So I like this. I like what we did here on this move. I'm gonna leave this for now. I'm gonna put a note because I'm not working on this every day right now. I need to be able to remember why I've done certain things. Okay, that file's good. This, what do we do here? Animation sprite up. I'm just doing a lap, clean everything up from the code that I had based this off of. That animation stuff went a lot smoother than I was expecting. Now, jump is going to be tricky, but maybe not because I'm not going to use a fall animation. I think jump is just going to be like, he's just going to be hovering there. So I think we're okay. Let me clean that up. So that's good. And then state machine. Ooh, we got a lot of stuff. So we changed to use change state, which is perfect, which I'm actually feeling much better about this approach. So I love that. We don't really need this print statement anymore. I'll leave it there for debugging. Did we remove the player input move component? I think I'm gonna solidify that. I don't think we need that anymore. I think I can remove that that note, that leftover artifact. And we can also get rid of this. And I think that was the only place it was using. It's like you take somebody else's code and you work on it and you form it to fit your example until you have ownership and you have understanding. And that's really what, like, I'm providing all these examples and all these demo projects, but I think that everybody needs to understand that it's not a, canned thing where you're going to be able to take it and immediately have your game working. Like, this is just starting points, right? This is starting point so that you take ownership and you learn about it. Make it work for whatever you're trying to accomplish. I have a to-do here and I'm not sure why I'm saying this, because it doesn't make sense anymore. Let's make sure this is only called from server. That's not true anymore because now we need to be able to call it on both. In both contexts. So that was just, I think that was in reference to this, which will happen because it's wrapped in is authority. In a real world scenario, this is going to be deployed to a dedicated server. I'm not really designing this to be P2P. It can be, but not really going to do that. I may add a little bit of handling for that, but I'm getting ahead of myself. And let's say change state. I liked having this here for debugging purposes. So if you need to debug where something's getting changed or called, you can always just print out the unique ID. And this was just like a check, be 100% sure that it wasn't being called anywhere else. And I don't really need that at all because I've confirmed that. That was for that node not found issue. So, okay, so let's go back to our code. Our source code changes. And I think we're good. All right, I think I'm comfortable with these changes. I should probably commit this stuff here, and then that way I can start fresh. So what was I doing here? Or maybe I should just commit this as all one big commit. Yeah. Yeah, because this is all very much related. Yeah, that's going to get removed. And second thought, let me just bump that out. All right, I think we're good. I don't know why this has to change. I didn't change anything. Oh, because I probably touched the animation player. I don't like that. It's too finicky with detecting changes. So let's just check or add everything to the index. Oh, I have too many words here. Where's this? Idle. Okay, so when we go idle, we just snap the velocity of the player back to 0. That's okay. I don't think I'm synchronizing velocity. I wonder if it'll play nicer if I synchronize velocity. I don't know if that would affect it. I'll try it in a second, but let me just commit all this stuff or get it indexed. That looks good. I'll address that later. There's my note. That looks good. And we already reviewed that, right? Okay, so we've got our changes tested and indexed so that if I make any other changes, I know that we have a safe fallback. We just make sure that everything's working. That looks good to me. I mean, if you were just making a simple multiplayer game and you weren't doing anything like super fast paced, or I mean, this would work. I mean, this is totally fine. Might have some input lag, but okay. So I like what that looks like. Let's synchronize velocity for kicks really quick. I don't think it'll do anything. I select it like this. Velocity. I don't think velocity is a exposed property. I think we should just do velocity. One over there, one over there, and one over there. Oh, yeah, I really don't think this is gonna show up anywhere. Feels the same to me. Okay, whatever. That's fine. I don't notice anything, so I don't want to replicate it right now. Maybe later on. Okay, so what else I want to do today before I go is I want to look at maybe adding jump and maybe adding run, and I'm gonna have to look at that again. I don't think it's gonna be too bad. Let's just look at making jump. Let's make a jump state. So let me see. Let's go down to, I think I have a states folder. Let's create a states scene. States, I mean jump. And I think we can do a 2D, or I'm sorry, a node. Oh, yeah, I spelled that right. Okay. So idle, let's just open up move. Make sure I did it the same. Jump. Okay. And move has a script. So let's create a script called jump, and we're going to put that under somewhere, scripts, states, and I think instead of node, we're going to do state. Yeah. All right. So let's see, process jump. So I have a function called process jump, and I think that is in our reference script. I'm gonna blindly just copy this for now, and we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna paste that in there. I'm gonna comment that out or remove that. And yeah, of course it's gonna complain because stuff's happening. I think I want to do. Oh, actually, I don't think I have jump input synchronized the way I would hope it would be synchronized. But first, let's just get our process physics in there. Let's keep it in a separate function for now, and we're going to return null because I think you have to return a state. And let me see, jump input. Yeah, that is here, but I don't have that. I don't have a once jump. I have a, right when I closed it, I needed it again. So jump input, I don't know, I'm just going to roll with it for a minute. We're going to, I'm going to leave once jump because I like that. But let's just leave it at this. And well, it's not a Boolean. It's I think just a float. And get jump will just return whatever the current client status is. So how am I using it in move? I think I just say get input. So I think we just say get jump. I think we have a reference to parent. Yeah, and then I think we just say get jump. I don't know if we need to be doing this velocity. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah, we do. Okay. So I think this should not be called over and over again, but we need to like we need to like enter the state, have the jump happen, and then his gravity will take over. So we don't have gravity in here. So we need gravity. So I think it's under the move. So let's add some gravity. And I think we'll just apply gravity here. Okay, you know, I bet you a better way to do this is if parent, I'm gonna just try it, is on floor. If this call even works. We oh wait. Yeah, I don't think I need to do it that way. Okay, I think I can just do it there. I think I can do it here. So if we have a jump input and we're on the floor, set their velocity to whatever the jump strength is, which is probably just 1. So we'll just probably have 10. We don't need this interpolation thing. And then we'll just apply the velocity. And I think if we're in this state and jump, if like I almost need to detect if we're so once the jump is over, so once you hit the ground again, then jump ends. Jump will end so that I'll kick it back out to idle state maybe. So if we jump, if we get jump is just the input strength. I'll talk about it in 2 seconds. Let me I'll touch on it in just a second. So if we have our jump input, which is like any like hitting space bar, it's going to be 1. We're on the ground, we jump, and then we apply our gravity. And then if we are on the floor, this call is going to get hit right away, I bet. So I think we need to do else if, which isn't going to work because you are not using Java or C#. Else if, I think we bail. I think we return a different state. How was I doing it here? Idle state. So let's grab a state and we'll just go back to idle state just like they're doing it. Sorry, I'm on a train of thought here. We'll put jump. Nope, not that one. Jump there. Idle state there. State name. Jump. Animation name. Just gonna knock all these out because I know them. I bet you it's jump. What else? Jump. Movement speed doesn't really make sense in this scenario for idle or for state, but it's okay. It's provided by state. We can always refactor that. So if so, this is our process loop. If jump was hit, we're going to send them up, and then we're going to apply gravity. And then this, we're just going to keep applying gravity because this is probably no longer relevant. Yeah, I think I can just return null. I'll just do return null here. Wonder if I should move apply gravity above it. Okay, so I'm going to talk to the get jump thing in a second. Let me see. It's not working. Okay, so let me get back to our state machine really quick and make sure that we're actually seeing state changes. So let's re-enable. Let me change this to say change state. And then we'll say new state. And then we'll do that. Okay. So it's not working at all. So what's happening is get jump. You asked what get jump was. So jump, uh, like every other state, I have idle, jump, and move right now. They all extend from state, and state just state has a function in the base class called get jump, and I just returned the jump input similar to like input direction. This jump input is just like an integer or float of strength represented by this player input script. So move component maps to player input. It should be called move player input component, but it's called move component, and it'll return this value. I hope that makes sense. But so this is a synchronized value. At least it should be. Wrong synchronizer. Jump input. Yep. So jump input is synchronized. So when we're on the server context and we get jump input, it should, this is going to be server side. It should give us the value of whatever input we just hit. However, it's not, this state's not even getting hit at all because I just realized why. Because I'm being silly. So I put all this logic in here and it shouldn't be here. This needs to go in the, yeah, this is dumb. This was bad. Okay. Not dumb, but just this was like I was getting ahead of myself. Okay, so all this stuff needs to be, at least this part needs to be in the move place. So move state. There we go. I knew I could spit it out. So what that means is if, yeah, I think I can do return jump state. And then we got to add jump. So then jump will say, hey, I'm in the jump state. And it should just apply this. So if, I think we'll say, we'll add an extra check that's if parent is on floor. We'll launch the guy. Else if he's on the floor again. Like I need to check, like, did he jump at all, right? So it's like, did we jump? Did we initially jump at all? So you know, how do we handle those different states like that? Or we handle it in the move function and we don't have a separate state, or we only use the state until we hit the ground, right? It's like, which way do I want to do it? Do I want to say jump state, you handle the jump and hitting the ground, or do I want to let the move state handle the jump velocity and then let the jump state handle the landing? I don't know. I kind of want to keep it within the jump state for now. If you got someone's just joining looking at why I have two conditionals set the exact same thing, it's probably not going to make any sense to them. So I think, because yeah, I think once you hit jump, we don't want to keep processing jump. So that's why we kick it out. So this will bring us to the jump state. Jump state says go up in the air. Maybe I need like a jumped. And then we return the idle. I don't know. Does that make sense? Does not like it. Does not like, it's not even trying to change. Okay. Wait, yeah, it is. Hold on. Wait, something happened. Oh, it's just too quick. I don't think it's working the way I thought it was working. I don't think this is correct. I think this needs to be like if yeah, this isn't very good. This is like if parent is on floor. Nope. If we're on the floor, then we'll move them. That's actually kind of what we're doing. I think that I am basing it. Okay, yeah. So I think I'm doing something similar to that. So let's see. Let's say if we're on the floor, else supply gravity, but if I think if we're on the ground and we get down here and we've detected, this is basically what you just said. We're detecting the input. So if we detected our input, we move to jump state. Jump state says, let's do our velocity until we come back to the ground. Let's see if that makes any sense. No, it doesn't like it at all. I have a bug in my print statement. What did I do? I think we'll do this. If our jump state is hit and we jump, else do we have any, if we're at 0, we return idle. And yeah, I think idle was taking over. That's weird. What happened to gravity? I'm not gonna add this check. I'm just gonna, all right, apply gravity. Jumped is true. And then we need to set jump back to false. They're all stuck in the matrix. I think I'll be able to use, I mean, I haven't thought about it, but I think I'll be able to reuse parts of it, like certain elements from it. I think we'll be able to use, because, you know, state machine is kind of, I think you process things and handle things in a similar fashion. So yeah, I think we'll definitely be able to reuse parts of it. It'll probably be easier to use, honestly, for bots and NPCs. The hard part is handling player input, right? That's where these challenges come in, I think. So once you remove that element and you have server authoritative movements from an AI or whatever movement you have to move your bots or NPCs, I think it becomes easier to deal with. And the Shaggy Dev guy that I keep referencing, he's got like maybe a series, if not at least a couple videos on state machines and how he's used them for his AI. And yeah, like he makes state machines for everything. Like not everything, sorry, for things that have multiple like states. Like if you have like a weapon that is like on the environment and there's different states of the weapon, like inactive, maybe active, firing, and, you know, aiming or moving, you know, he just starts with a state machine and then he just creates different state machines for, you know, whatever that specific item or that specific gameplay mechanic is, or gameplay character, or whatever you want to call it. I should have probably named this player state machine or player movement state machine that way, because just having a script called state machine is very it's not very specific. It's not very detailed, so I think it could cause confusion over time. But for this, I think it works fine. Um, but yeah, yeah, I definitely think it'll be a good thing. But I don't get what's happening here. I'm able to jump, and I mean, is gravity just not here? Like, does it not? Isn't gravity part of state? Yeah. So is this just not so if we're on the floor, we jump them. Oh, and did you notice the jump animation worked? I totally didn't. It worked automatically. Like, I just kind of casually set the jump animation and didn't think about it, but it was working. He is jumping. But let's remove that. Let's because I think the jump animation is throwing me off a little bit. So he can't jump from idle. That makes sense because I didn't do that yet. But if I jump from movement, then he jumps. But he's stuck. So this is where I'm getting a little confused because it should be launching him. There's a chance this could be back to 0. There's a chance this could be back to 0. Let me just comment this out. I don't know if that's happening. That would be interesting. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, so you're saying like I probably have to wait maybe another frame or so to detect that he's moved up. I actually want to print out what this is returning, this get jump, because that also could be an issue. So it went to 1 for a few frames, which is weird, which means he's not actually leaving the floor. So I think you're right. I don't think he's getting I don't think he's having a chance to leave the floor. Let me get this working on idle. I'm playing around with it, not having it work on I'm trying to get it to work on move, but let's make this work on idle. Idle process physics. Oh, there is a false state that the example had, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to implement that for this. So let's see, move state. I'll need that. Well, these don't have to be either or. I could make. I maybe come back to that. These don't need to be mutually exclusive. So we need a jump state. Is idle. So I don't want to have to move to get him to jump. What? I broke everything. If he's on the floor, is floor broken? Oh. What the hell? What's happening? If jump, what does get jump set to? If it's greater than 0, we're in idle, right? So why is he hovering in the air? Okay, so everything is set to idle. So if we have a new state, then we change. Okay, that's makes sense. So we start an idle. It's like the move is on floor is broken. I should move this in the super class. This shouldn't affect it. Oh, yeah, it does. Good catch. I think good catch. Yeah, I think that's one problem. Let me see what did I do? So I think I have to do it here as well. I think this is gonna break. No, I'll have to check it out. Oh yeah, I think I have heard about that. Yeah. Yeah, I think I have seen that. But yeah, I'll have to check it out. Go back to idle. I'm thinking maybe I do like jump and then immediately kick it back to move. And then move just handles the down. Because maybe like I jump and then I can still hit the arrow key and go sideways. Like mid jump. I guess it depends on what you want. Like, do you want those things to be exclusive, or do you want, the ability to be able to jump and move in the air, or do you want to just jump and then you can't control them? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like maybe I'll just jump will apply the force and then it's like, all right, bye, and it goes and it dumps it back off to move. And we don't even worry about it. So I think I want to try that. So that I think would look like this. And then we would immediately return not idle, but move state. And then we don't even need idle, but we'll leave it for now. So jump needs move. What? Oh, wrong one. So let me just comment that out for now. All right. So wait. Yeah. So I'm thinking, can we do this? Like, I'm gonna move this to the parent class. Should we launch him, apply it, and then we go back to move and move? Move is like, hey, I'm not on the floor. Apply gravity, and then move parent slide. Right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It's really quick. Okay, so I'm moving. Idle. Jump, move, idle. Oh, because there's still it's still detecting. Is it happening too fast? I think it's also detecting the keyboard input a little bit longer. Um, yeah. Well, no, because it's if on floor. So if we're on the floor and we hit jump, then we jump. Jump moves to move, and then it's still on the floor, right? It's yeah, it's like we're not able to get off the ground. So I almost wonder if I need to stay in the jump state for like an extra few frames. Is this even going to do anything? What do I run again? I always forget. What did I tell you earlier in the stream? What is it? Await, get tree. There we go. This is like terrible practice. I'm just doing this to test something. So I'm just trying to see if it's just happening too quickly. Oh, come on. All right, well, I guess I can't do that. Yeah, I know. I can have a timer. Just like, I didn't really want to do that. But that would probably be a really quick way to test this. And that would give me an idea. All right. All right, good call. We're going to do a test timer. And we'll do one shot and we'll do like half a second. And we'll say start, and it should just go once. And then we need to I think we need to have a callback function, right? And then can I do it this way? Can you on a wait? Can you call a wait on a timer? Like, do I need to, like, isn't there a different way to do this? Like create timer, and then we'll say 0.5 can't, and then I do timeout. Can I do this instead? I think I can do that. Yeah, I think I can do that. Instead of adding like a timer. Oh, wait, let's just try it. Async function without a wait. Maybe I just do this. Didn't I use this somewhere else? Or was I punch player? Go to it. Isn't this what I just did? Yeah, and it didn't like the await. Yeah, it doesn't like the await function. Let's see, jump wait. I don't know. Let's just pick a number. I always forget. So what we'll do instead is, because I don't really know how to fix that off the top of my head. I could add async. I don't think that's going to do anything. I think I should be able to say if parent is on floor, else, and then if think if jump weight, we'll just make a number up. We'll just go to there, and then we'll do 0. Don't need that for now. And then return null. I don't know if this makes sense. So if we're on the floor, we play and do move and slide. And I guess we need our gravity. So we can probably just move this down and apply a gravity. Right. And then we don't return our move state until we've gotten 100 deltas. I don't remember how long. I don't really know what number this needs to be. I always forget how fast they add up. I think 100 is like insanely high. I think it needs to be like 1 or something. Jump. Well, that didn't work at all. Expected him at least to move a little bit. I mean, so he's perpetually jumping. Is it because I applied gravity right away? That doesn't make sense. I've done all this stuff before. It's funny how I like, just because it's in a different format, we struggle with the same thing, just organized differently. So let's do it up here then, and we'll just mimic it so we can have a similar setup, because I mean, this is exactly the same. We want to do similar things. Uh, so I'm applying gravity, and then I apply the jump velocity once, and then we move and slide. So I apply jump velocity once, and then we move and slide. I mean, this is identical. But he's not leaving the floor. Um, I mean, this could be bugged. It's like he tries to move. What do I got? What do I have in here? 4.5. Yeah, I mean, that's the same. Let me just get rid of this again to make sure that it's not our input. Zeroing it out. Yeah, I didn't think so. He's like vibrating in place, so I'm clearly doing something. I'm just thinking I want to try a couple things that don't make sense, but I wonder if somehow I need to synchronize velocity for that to work. That doesn't make sense, but I'm gonna just try something, because sometimes it triggers things, right? So I think it's worth trying. Yeah. Yeah, that didn't do anything. Okay. So, all right, so we're in idle, and we hit jump. So we transition to a jump state. So we leave this brain, right? So this brain is replaced. Our state machine enters the new state, and enter kicks off an animation. So there's nothing weird happening there. We get our jump input. So now we're in jump. Change state to jump up here on the server, right? So, and is on floor is just keeping him on floor when it should be giving him some velocity. How am I calculating it? Yeah, I literally just grabbed it. It's the same. What if we just like up it in case like that doesn't make sense. He shouldn't be like stuck in place. What if you don't apply gravity at all and jump? I mean, yeah, let's try it. I'm open to suggestions. Oh, goodbye, friend. Okay, so that so let me I think that is somehow a good thing. Yeah. So what we need to do is, this is never getting hit. I think this needs to be like 1. And then we just go back to move. Jump, slam, jump, slam. So that gravity really kicks in. But I think this is progress. So good teamwork. I'm just trying to process what's happening. I'm wondering if we don't need to do all this stuff, all this crazy stuff, and we just return move state, and it'll probably just slam him down. I know off the, I don't know if I should even know this, but let's try it. Yeah. So we're definitely running into a like not enough time thing. And I think that's common with jump, right? I think that this stuff is pretty common with jump. I don't really like this weight thing I'm doing. It's a little weird. I think I just removed it, or no, I just made it really small. Let's check something really quick. Let me run it again. Well, at least the synchronization is accurate. So he's going to be in here for like a half, whatever delta means. I don't like doing this, but that's okay for now till I can think of a better way. But what I'm just thinking if I should, this shouldn't affect it at all. Just trying to clean up. So why is he snapping back? I think, well, it looks like when I change, so if I hit spacebar, we come in here, right? This state is active, and we're not. If I apply velocity and I immediately return back to the move state, the move state will take over and too quickly and like apply gravity too strong or something. And he won't jump. So I have to linger for some time to allow that velocity or to allow that jump velocity to kick in to get off the floor to get it time to get off the floor basically and apply the jump. So what I'm curious though is why if parent is apply gravity so strong that it just slams the guy back into the ground. That's weird. Like, is gravity too strong, or because when I do it over here, all I do is you're absolutely right with that suggestion. I think that's a really good suggestion, and I think that would work for a lot of use cases. The reason why I didn't want to do the separate one, and we might, but was because I want, for this game demo, for this tutorial or this template, I want the player to be able to like jump and then hold one of the movement keys so he can kind of drift a little bit, which should be easily handled by just handing the state back over to the move state or transitioning back to the move state. And like if I did it your way, not your way, but if I do it in the way that you're suggesting, that I would have to add that movement functionality in there as well. And I didn't really think I wanted to duplicate that. But I might switch over to that. It's a fine suggestion. So just looking at what I do here is I just process the jump, which is just call it a lot. If he's not on the floor, it just, if he is on the floor, applies velocity once, and I think we ignore. Yeah, it doesn't even carry. So yeah, like we can still handle the velocities of moving slightly, and then if and then it applies movement and slide, like no problem. And the gravity is, where is the gravity? This is like another project, guys. This isn't the same project. Oh, the gravity is in the is before it, is applied before it. So I don't think that would really change anything. And I don't even think I check if he's on the ground or not. Just apply it, which is weird. Like I wouldn't think that. I feel like the jump thing should work. Yeah, maybe it does. Maybe jump needs to be, and that's why I'm just kind of experimenting with all this and trying to figure it out. But I think this feedback's really good. Appreciate it. I made a whole video on that. Not using root motion, but using state machines for splitting the legs and arms. I have a whole video using just not the animation player, but the animation tree, where I have state machines representing the different parts of the body. And I did a whole video on that. So if you guys are interested to see how I did it, I actually have like 3 or 4 videos on it, where like one was like I was trying to figure it out, and the other one was like I was doing some Blender stuff and showing you how I separated it, and then the third one or fourth one, I don't remember, I put it all together. And I was using that instead of like any kind of inverse kinematics or anything like that, because it looked like it wasn't really, it was deprecated, so I wanted to use a different way. And I'm basically just like moving the arm up and down, so you can walk and the arm can also move up and still walk with like the other arm, you know? So that's why I was separating it out, if that makes sense. In the head too, I had a neck. I think I had the neck separate in one of them, where like if he aimed up, his whole head looked up. I had like a single arm aim, and then I had a like a rifle aim where he would look up and down. It worked out all right. All right, so if parent is on floor, and we check for jump, and then if it didn't like kick to idle really quick, did it? No. And then maybe this doesn't need to be on floor like that. Maybe this is overdoing it. I'm going to just experiment, because for some reason this order of operations are a little weird. Let's just get rid of that and just apply gravity. Moves jump. Jump kicks off. Players just shooting up. Oh, I kind of just had a thought. Yeah, see, I can jump and still move. Wait. How is that possible? It wouldn't be able to move me. Maybe I'm imagining this. Hold on. Yeah, maybe I'm not moving over. Hold on, let's line up. So what I'm doing is I'm jumping and I'm pushing arrow to the left. Yeah, it's not. Okay, so it only, so immediately snaps down to the ground. Yeah, again, I don't know. I don't know about this. I don't like it. It's like immediately, I mean, maybe gravity's too strong. Is that really what's happening? What is gravity even set to? Is it like 9.8 meters, or is it something else? Physics 2D default gravity. Isn't that in here? Wait, 2D? It's 980? Oh, wait. Oh my God. It's 2D. And 2D is 980. Do you think if I set it to 3D, it'll work? How many projects have I been giving out to people that are in 3D that are set to the gravity? I mean, do I have to capitalize the 3D, or should it work? I don't know. I'm going to just leave it at lowercase. Well, what did I do over here? Yeah, lowercase 3D. Man, could you imagine? All right. Oh, look at the nice little hop. Okay. I think we've I think we've come back to reality. So when I jump, hold on, let me hit the ground. So when I jump and then it hits the move, then I can start moving. So there's like an initial up, and then as I'm coming down, or as the move state, so idle, jump, move, and then I can move like over. Yeah. Okay. So this is a little better. I mean, it's a little wonky. 980 gravity. I was telling you guys, like, this gravity just feels really, really solid. Let's just synchronize one for a second. Oh, we won't be able to tell. Let me rerun it. Let's see. Jump, jump. I mean, it looks pretty good to me. It looks like he's synchronizing. Yeah. I don't know what he's. Oh, he's kicking the idle really quick. He's kicking the idle really quick. So I'm gonna have to add a check into the idle, into the idle side of things. So like we don't need to go back to idle until we're on the ground. So let's just and is in parent, we should say player is on floor, right? So I don't want him to kick out the idle, and then we can apply the animation really quick. He goes back to walk. That's actually really funny. That's worse. That's worse than the idle. Oh. All right. Nova. I think it was Nova. Yeah, you were saying that multi-state. Okay, I think this is why I do multi-state, because you need to have a state for jump up and then a state for fall. And fall almost needs to be anytime you're not on the ground. So if you jump off a cliff, or if you run off a cliff, what if you don't jump and you run off a ledge or a cliff, what state are you in? You're not in a jump state, you're not in a move state, you're not in idle, you're in a fall state. So I think that's where I need to go with that. And that is actually tied into what you were saying, Nova, earlier. So I think that's a good idea. I think we'll add a fall state and we'll transition to that. And it's funny because this original state machine was designed with a fall state somewhere. I had it earlier. I don't know where it went. Showing you. I was showing something earlier and I stumbled upon it. I might have deleted it because it was commented out. But anyways, so I know that it's absolutely a good idea to have that distinction in a game. So I think what we'll do is we'll have our jump state transition after this time, transition to fall, and then for now the fall and jump animation will just be the same, or maybe I'll cut it. Like jump will show him jump, and fall will just be like whatever the last state is, and then when he hits the ground, then he goes back to moving. I think that's what we're gonna do. So we made a lot of progress, and just to kick it off, just to be fun, the very end, let's see our guy actually animate the jump. And then I'm gonna call it a day. Let's see him actually do his little jump animation, and then he's gonna walk on water, right? So he's gonna jump for a second, and then he's gonna turn back in the walk because we haven't fixed that part yet. So he's walking, he jumps, and then he walks on water, and then he lands or walks on the air. So jump, walk, boom. So this right here will be fall, and then he'll transition back to whatever the ground state is. So I think that's what we're gonna do. So jump state, fall state, idle state. I think that's what that's gonna look like. And let's see if it actually synchronizes the jump. It does. Nice. Boom. So I'm just gonna leave the fall state in the same as the jump state. Like he'll just kind of the end frame of the jump will just be the fall state for this. Yeah, I think we got it, guys. Awesome. This was a lot of fun today. I think we're really starting to see this come together. Thanks again for joining. I don't have a set schedule for the stream right now. I'll just try to stream whenever I can. All right. Thanks a bunch, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.